update from Wayne Dolcefino with Dolcefino Consulting and related matters.
Hi guys.
Hello.
We go sit over here because the last time I was here, the guy shot my bald head, so I made sure that that doesn't happen again. It's pretty depressing. Hey guys, look. So normally, guys like me, when we're hired by folks, sort of like to discuss strategy and findings and things like that in confidence. Not to hide anything, but because sometimes you want to make decisions, right? And you want to go a certain way, and you don't want the other side to know you're going that way, okay? And it's very clear to me that there's two sides here. And it's very rare, in fact, totally rare, that I actually work for the government and thus for the taxpayers, right? So part of me doesn't like that because I don't like charging taxpayers money. I just don't, right? And before I start walking you through this, I did want to tell you that for whatever it's worth, I told my staff today that we were cutting $5,000 off your bill because that was a courtesy. Look, I really feel bad for what's happened to you guys. And I told you all at the very start, you got two choices in this thing. You really do, right? You can do nothing and get rolled over, right? Or you can fight back. And so I'm going to walk you through some of the things we've been focusing on, and then give you some advice. Okay? I ain't a lawyer, so I don't have to worry about the state bar coming after me like they would anyway. Okay? So I'm going to give you all some of my advice. Okay? It is clear to me that the folks on your county commissioners board, and I'll call the county judge out too, he lied to me. When I first started this thing, my efforts were just sort of, as hard as it is for me, to be the nice guy, okay? To go to them and say, look, these people are getting screwed over, okay? These folks are getting screwed over. Your town's getting destroyed, right? And so, if I can get you guys to sort of realize that you don't always have to listen to the developer guy, right? Then maybe we can work something out. I met with the county judge behind closed doors for an hour, and you know, look, I'm used to hearing BS from politicians, but he lied to me. And I told the county judge this, I will not forget that he bald-faced lied to me, okay? Telling me all this stuff about how concerned he was, and da-da-da, and look, you only lie to me once, okay? I sometimes give folks a break, but they lied to me once. So we began early on a search for records, okay? And part of what we were looking for is to find out, and Bob Rehack was a big help, the flooding unit. Both of us were going in the same direction. I wanted to see what records existed, right, that justified the approval of the plats in the early neighborhoods, that in my view are the source of all this, right? Because when you approve those plats without any drainage studies, or any real drainage studies, then when the flooding comes through that place, right, everyone gets destroyed, okay? It is, to me, fairly simple. I'm not an engineer, but I've covered enough floods to get to understand that when you build a bunch of stuff in marshland, the water's going to go somewhere. And having one or two retention ponds is not enough. So as part of this, we asked for the records, right? So the former county engineer, who happens to be, and it's a small county, I get it, he's Bergman, who happens to be the daddy of the new DA, okay? I don't know if y'all knew this. He's the daddy of the district attorney, okay? So when I first tried to talk to him, he didn't want to talk to me, which is not unusual. A lot of people don't want to talk to me. And I started fighting with the county attorney over records, right? Because the records either exist or they don't. And if they exist, then what do they say, right? Are the soil samples wrong? Did they take soil samples? Right? It's been my experience that a lot of times the soil samples get destroyed. I think you folks have a right to see all that, because I think, and I think even the county attorney agrees, that there is damage being done here that can be traced back not just to the poop drainage, but also the flood drainage. So the county engineer tells the county attorney he doesn't have any records. Then after we sort of argued and fought and pressured for a couple of weeks, the county engineer finds some more records on his personal computer that he used to have when he was there, okay? And so we looked at those records. Those records don't help much, right? And wherever the county's drainage rules were bad, good, hard, or different, right? Because I've heard enough government BS over the years that I've heard it all, okay? The reality is, where are the records? Where are the studies? Now, I actually got in contact, and I'm gonna break this up, and I won't take up too much time, guys, but I think it's important you all understand this. So, I got in touch, there's a company called Land Plan Engineering, right? That does all the engineering work for Colony Ridge, okay? So finally got a hold of their president, really sweetheart of a guy, okay? We had a great 4.5-minute conversation, okay? Which ended basically, I don't think I'm ever gonna talk to you again, okay? Because I said to him, I said, look, why won't you just give me the records? Look, we can save everybody a lot of time and money. Give us the records, right? If the records prove that you guys did what you were supposed to do, right? And this is just all Mother Nature, whatever, then we all go away. Not really, but you know, I told him that, right? So he wouldn't do it. He said, well, my client, it's up to my client, and the county's never asked me. Okay? So one of the things I got today, which I'm going to leave with you, is a email. And look, let me tell you something. If the county commissioners in New York County gave two craps about you, right? They wouldn't be tomorrow approving more plats for these guys.
Amen.
They would be making Trey Harris come to the front of the room and explain what they've done. And it's not just whether or not they did the proper studies, it's what it looks like, right? So anyway, January 25th, county attorney, because he's the big shot up in Kansas, told me they've never contacted him. Well, I got the email showing they did in January. Okay? The problem is, the county attorney sent him a nice little email, pretty please, we need your stuff, right? There's allegations, where are your records? We're now in April, right? 3 months later. And the county attorney won't mind me saying this, but you know what? This is hardball. This ain't softball, right? You ask somebody for records to prove that they told you the truth, that they developed all these neighborhoods with the right drainage, right? So they wouldn't destroy the people next door, and they won't produce it. Colony Ridge won't produce it. Land Plan won't produce it, right? That's just the drainage records. Then you have the roads, the traffic records. So I asked the same county engineer, Mr. Bergman, who has a great memory, who once gave an affidavit talking about how the Colony Ridge guys were the greatest guys he ever met. Woo! Don't ask me what that's all about, okay? But he obviously likes them a lot, okay? And so we look for the road inspection records, right? They don't exist either, okay? But we do know that the county finally went a couple years ago and saw that the roads were all screwed up. And what did they do? Nothing, okay? So one of the things I looked at was phone records. So guys like me like to look at emails and phone records, okay? Now, sometimes in the what I call the rural counties, folks don't email a lot, but they do text, they do phone calls, okay? We asked for all the commissioners' records, we asked for the county judge's records, and we asked for the mayor's records, okay? And you'll say to me, and look, I don't get in y'all's politics is y'all's business, right? Y'all decide who you keep, who you don't, that's y'all's business, okay? But early on, and I think I said this, Mayor, at the meeting, early on, people were calling me and saying the mayor's going around saying she wants to fire you, she's gonna do this, she communicates with Trey Harris, and you know what, that's great. And I even came here and said, fire me if you want, okay? But I looked at the phone records, and what I found, you folks need to know, okay? First of all, Commissioner Arthur, okay, one of the county commissioners, not your commissioner, and I'll tell you about your commissioner again. Commissioner Arthur, remember when we went up in the helicopter and we saw all those things that Colony Ridge hadn't fixed, right? Like forgetting whether or not the drainage studies are right, we can all engineer, but you can visibly see that there's miles and miles of ditches that have no grass on them, that don't have any back slope interceptors. I didn't know what the hell those was, but I do now, okay? But they don't have them, right? They got big piles of dirt next to ditches. You know, a third grader can figure this out, right? And so I said, even if you accept that they did it right, the crap ain't there, right? And it's like, and so remember when I made that speech, I hope you do, to Commissioner's Court, the one guy who said, well, anyone can come up here without evidence, right? I gotta see evidence, right? That was that Commissioner Arthur. And I was thinking, well, that's weird, right? Why would Commissioner Arthur care? And then, right when that meeting happened last week, Commissioner Arthur had a very nice chat. He told me I twist everything and I'm a big liar and blah, 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 blah. okay? And maybe I understand why, because Commissioner Arthur talks to Trey Harris all the time, okay? Now, I don't know what they're talking about. They could be talking about hunting, right, about deer. They could be hunting, they could be talking about their families, right? You never know that, right? But I do know that he talks to them an awful lot. And if Commissioner Arthur, more than like virtually anybody else, right? When you look at phone records, you tend to look at like, there's personal calls that are redacted. But when you see somebody talking to somebody that much, and they obviously either are friends or got some business together or whatever the hell they're doing, okay?
Romance.
You know, I want to talk about the mayor, okay? And Mayor, you're not gonna like this. I don't think, maybe you will, I don't know, that's y'all business. I looked at the mayor's records, and the mayor, during the time of this ongoing litigation, is talking to Trey Harris all the time. And I got the phone records, and I think I've provided them, if not, I'll even get tonight. A lot, okay? And one of the most disturbing things for me is that when you look at phone records, guys, you start looking at things, you start looking at phone records, and you start doing what we do at Dolcefino Crazy House, right? We start giving color codes to various people's numbers that we're interested in, right? So we wanted Matt Poston's number, Carl Ulrich, y'all city attorney. We wanted to see when that was called, right? We have Trey Harris on here. We don't have that weasel lawyer who wants to kick my ass. I wish he was here because I miss him a lot. Right? But we've got all these calls documented, right? Color coded, so you all can see, right? So here's the real problem. You know, look, I don't know, mayor wants to be buddies with Trey Harris, that's her business. While her city's suing, while they think that they're destroying them, I'll let y'all make the political judgment on whether or not you want that to happen, okay? But what I do think is something that you deserve to know is that most of the phone calls, or virtually all of the phone calls, come after she's talked to the city attorney. Now, I don't know what they're talking about. Like I said, look, life is a coincidence. I call it a coincidence, right? But sometimes within 10 minutes of the phone call with the city attorney, right, she's talking to Trey Harris. Now, look, I even thought about it. I said, well, you know what? Maybe she's got some back channel that we folks don't. You know, there's folks working for the city.
Okay. We've
No.
had enough. I've had enough. No.
I haven't.
I will answer your questions. I mean,
I don't have any questions for you. I'm gonna make
okay,
my speech.
I'm done. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead and
let him be
Thank
done.
you. And look, and like I said, maybe people have back channels. Maybe the mayor is quietly trying to work it out with Trey Harris. That would be fine, in my view, as long as the city attorney knows, and as long as the city council knows, right? You can't not, especially in lawsuits, the last thing the lawyers will tell you is ever talk to the other side. And they become the other side when you're in lawsuits with them. I will also tell you that virtually all the commissioners are doing the same thing, okay? Here's where we are right now. The county attorney has gone up in a helicopter. Y'all may know that. He has seen it. Now, Colony Ridge's explanation is that even though there's miles and miles of ditches that have no grass, that they've done it 8 or 9 times and the grass keeps dying, right? And we're searching Google Earth right now along with the county attorney to see if we can like prove that up, that the grass magically all disappeared at the same time. And maybe it did, okay? But that's what we're doing. And so I want you folks to know what we're doing. Here's the bottom line. I ain't a lawyer, okay? So I'm gonna give you some Wayne advice. Those of you who think you were flooded, right, because of them, you ought to sue them, right? I'm not talking about city folk, right, or the government. I'm talking about you regular folk, okay? You ought to sue them. At the very least, you will force them to produce the records. In my view, if they want to get rid of guys like me, the quickest way they do it is say, here are all the records. Have a good time, right? Have a field day, right? But they won't do it, which means to me is maybe they exist and they're all fine, they're just being jerks, right? You know, life, right? Maybe they don't have them. Maybe they never did it. Maybe they never did the soil samples. And so in my view, it is time for the citizens of Plum Grove to find you a lawyer and take them to court in a way that the government cannot do. And perhaps you can find folks in Kingwood and other folks down the road that'll help you. One other thing I want to tell you. We got busy with Liberty County Sheriff's Office as well. Look, they've been fighting me tooth and nail down the courthouse, right? And that's fine. They know I know that they're full of it, and I don't care that they know it. I don't care what cameras roll, okay? Well, we got into the business of the Liberty County Sheriff's Office because the Splendora Police were giving us all these numbers of people that they were arresting, right? And when Splendora Police pulls you over and you don't have, and look, the illegal immigrant thing is, y'all, look, I'm not casting any doubt. I have my own personal feelings, but I'm just telling you that when you don't have documents, you don't have Social Security, you don't have license, you don't have inspection stickers, and you're driving around in a car, somebody in this town's gonna get killed. Somebody's baby's gonna get killed, and that's not funny, okay? And so there is a responsibility of law enforcement to say, look, I pulled you over. I didn't pull you over because you're Hispanic. I'm pulling you over because you're speeding, and you don't have any documents. Splendora Police have a mobile way to check right away with immigration to see if this is a bad person, okay? Liberty County doesn't. So Liberty County Sheriff, and this goes to the politics of your area, all these, and look, in my personal life, I'm a Republican, so I speak out of that vein, okay? All these guys out here, all these tough Republicans, right? They're all tough on immigration, right? We asked the Liberty County Sheriff's Office for information on their arrests and their immigration. And I'd say something, 3 months later, we're still trying to get it. They're trying to hand scratch stuff, okay? Because the reality is, there's a law in this state which allows law enforcement to do what they should, which is when they pull someone over for a legitimate reason, and they don't have the proper documents, they have a right to check them out. Your sheriff doesn't do it. Now, I ain't saying it's because of Trey Harris. I'm just telling you folks that one of the things I hope when I leave here, and we're all just buddies, is that you folks pay more attention, right? It's easy for your politicians. You're a state representative, I'll leave you with that. Your state representative who came up here at the last meeting, I guess it was the first meeting in a while, and spoke. He hadn't talked to me since. I've asked him for all his records, all his email communications. He's told me to go to hell. He's fighting it in Austin. Your county commissioner, Mr. Whitmire, nice guy, right? But he won't help me, okay? And because they say he's got a conflict of interest because he did some work for Trey Harris. I don't think he's conflicted. In fact, they can waive that conflict in a minute. I think he wants to help, but he's afraid to help, right? You folks, when I'm long and gone, right, you guys can always call me. I'm telling you, you gotta get smarter and tougher and stop trusting these folks just because they say it the right way. We're fighting for the records. I'm telling you that they're gonna give them more plats. They are not going to stop unless you create another body of litigation. I get no money out of that. I'm just telling you my opinion, okay? That if I was you guys, I'd get together, find the people that got hurt the worst, and sue them. Make them produce these documents, right? If they can't produce these documents, or if they're false, then I think everybody should join the party. That's what I think, and, you know, to their lawyer, Mr. Lane, I'll be here all night, so come and get me. You know what I'm talking about?